Okay, now let's get to what everyone wants to know. Where's our stimulus bill and where's our money? Because we're dying over here. People are about ready to get kicked out of their houses. The unemployment's going to be over. We are going to have a total disaster. It's going to be the worst Christmas ever. And we have politicians that can't seem to come to a decision where they can come together and pass this bill. So, what is the problem? Well, the Republicans want to protect corporations. They want to be able to treat workers however they want at the workplace and not get sued. The Democrats are trying to protect workers and keep them from being exploited by corporations. So that was one of the problems. Also, the Republicans don't want to fund state and local governments. So what they did is they had a bipartisan effort, and during this effort, they came to a decision to split it into two bills. And Mitch McConnell is saying that he will support one of them. And one of them is the bill, not the one that is going to protect corporations and fund state and local governments, but bill number one, a $748 billion bill that will provide small business loans, unemployment benefits, and help with the vaccine distribution. So there is a chance that this could get passed really soon. We're hoping that they will come to their senses and give Americans what they need. That is what they are there for. The Republicans love to claim that the Democrats are a disaster for the economy, that everyone's going down. This is not true. We have reported over and over again that statistics show that Democrats have actually done better on all aspects of the economy, including creating jobs. Over and over again, they have never outdid the Democrats. The Republicans have never outdid the Democrats on the economy. That's just the way it is. And when we look back at what Trump has done and how that has affected the economy, has he really done America a good deed? Are we better off because of Trump, like he claims? Let's hear what they have to say in this report.
Economy in the United States, he's taken complete credit for that. And you say, when you look at the numbers, it's actually the opposite.
Well, he has a very poor economic record overall once we get to the end of his term. Now, obviously, there are two different phases of his term. There's the first 3 years, and there's this year. In the first 3 years, he was constantly lying and saying, I've created the greatest economy in the world. That was false. He inherited trends of recovery from the Obama administration. And again, presidents don't create the economy. Presidents can influence it somewhat and have some effect on it. But the economy moves according to its own rhythms. President Obama took some actions to get us out of the Great Recession. Those had some beneficial effects. The economy has been in a long recovery. Trump continued that. Unemployment rate going down, not because of what Donald Trump did, but because that was the trend in the economy. The two big things that Donald Trump did economically, tax cuts, had very little lasting effect on the economy, brief short-term boost, and the China trade war harmed the economy. That's why he called it off before his re-election year. Then when you get to 2020, you had the pandemic, which of course devastated economic activity. And what a president can do in that situation is respond to it and try to mitigate and control and ameliorate the problem. The president's response to the coronavirus was bungled. That means that we had an extended and continuing still to this moment terrible setback for the economy. We expect in December, because the Trump administration has failed to control the coronavirus, they politicized it, they ensured that we had a muddled, disorganized response on testing, on masks, on all sorts of things. We expect that in December, the economy will shed jobs. Stop recovering, but actually shed jobs. And in the first quarter of 2021, as Joe Biden takes over, J.P. Morgan says that Donald Trump is going to hand Joe Biden a shrinking economy. That is a bad record. If you look overall, the 13 presidents since World War II, Trump will have presided because the economy is going to shrink by a substantial amount this year. Donald Trump will have presided over the smallest economic growth of any of those 13 presidents, and he's the only one of them who will leave office with fewer people employed than the day he went into office.
One thing that could mitigate that is if Congress gets something done this week with some kind of relief bill. We are waiting to see if there's any progress there. John Harwood, thank you very much. Natasha Alford, great to see you as well. Thanks for being with us. What does it take to distribute and vaccinate millions of people, maybe in a matter of days? Closer look at one city's plan.
Something that we all should be worried about is the major data breach that happened right around the time that Putin is giving Joe Biden a call to congratulate him for winning the election. Meanwhile, while Trump was out there pretty much doing nothing or spreading lies and doing one court case after another, the Russians have been busy going into our different systems for our government and some of our top corporations to steal incredibly important data. Now, on Smart Health Talk, we have warned many, many times that we were putting all this energy into building a wall, using billions of dollars to build a wall, when we are not investing money into making our government's data systems and computers safer, our voting systems safer, our nuclear weapons safer, our security systems safer, and making it harder for other countries to come into our corporations and steal important data like what it took to make a coronavirus vaccine. Just so much information that is so important and is just right out there, not protected to the hilt like it should be. So this is what has just happened, and the same time that our president has been pretty much la-di-da doing nothing. How bad is it? Let's find out.
Explain the significance of this breach for us, because this was going on before the public knew about it. It's been going on for a while, and even before the agencies, it seems, that were being attacked knew they were being attacked.
Well, Anderson, we still need to learn a lot of the details about what actually happened, but it sounds like it was a significant breach of the email networks of several government agencies. This is a major, major accomplishment for a foreign intelligence service. Even though these networks are probably the unclassified networks, they still contain a treasure trove of information that is very useful and very sensitive. And so therefore, I'm sure that government cyber experts now are scurrying to find out exactly what was stolen, but also how to stop this very, very unfortunate breach.
In your new book, Undaunted, you talk about your concerns regarding President Trump's approach to Vladimir Putin. We know the president's been very reluctant to criticize Russia for anything. What should the president be doing or saying right now in regard to this situation?
Well, again, we don't know who is behind this. It could be the Russians, certainly, and the SVR, which is the Russian Foreign Intelligence Service, engages in these types of espionage activities. And so I think what Donald Trump needs to do immediately is to ensure that all of the cyber experts in the U.S. government are actively working to contain this very unfortunate breach of the networks. At the same time, I think he needs to send clear signals to Russia that this type of activity is not going to get his approval. Unfortunately, he has been too willing to allow Vladimir Putin to, I think, have his way with the United States.
I mean, we've obviously seen hacks before. This seems very sophisticated. How difficult is it for a government, for anybody, to guard against this?
Well, it is very difficult because intelligence services find ways to be able to penetrate the cyber defenses that the networks have. And so therefore, with whether it's spear phishing attacks or other types of attacks, they try to get individuals who have access to these networks to access certain links and do things that they're not supposed to do, which then allows these foreign intelligence services to get into the systems and networks, access databases, and bring out from those systems important information that the governments will use against us. And so therefore, this is a very significant breach, it sounds like, and therefore the government needs to contain it immediately.
Yeah, John Brennan, appreciate it. Thanks for your time.
Okay. Now we know how everything can get crazy. We know that we need to start to look at what has happened so far, We need to evaluate it. We need to figure out what kind of actions need to be taken so that we can protect our democracy, that we can protect our election system and our votes. And so people are already thinking about this. They're already starting to put legislation together. There's been a problem in the past that we are not staying connected enough with government, what's happening in government, and with our different representatives, and how letting them know how we think about these different issues. Well, guess what? No longer does everyone have to stay in the dark with what's going on with our government policies that they're working on, our representatives being disconnected from the people they're supposed to be there and serve. You want to get your voice heard? Well, now we have the perfect way for you to get your voice heard. It's called Issue Voter. issuevoter.org. Go there right now and sign up. It's so easy. I am going to take you through some of the different things that it takes to, first of all, sign up, which is just a couple of simple steps, and then also some of the different bills that came up when I put some of my choices in there on topics for issues that I'd be interested in. And I'm going to review some of those with you so you have an idea on some of the things that are going on right now that you probably aren't even aware of or ever thought that you could voice your opinion on. With Issue Voter, we can now start to really get our voices heard in large numbers. And we're going to get the point across to our different representatives just exactly how we feel and what we want and what we need them to get done as part of their job, and start calling them out on different votes and different things that they're doing that we either like or don't like. Because not only do we want to complain to our representatives, but we want to inform them, we want to educate them, but not just that, we want to praise them. We want to praise our representatives when they do good things as well as bad things. And trust me, that positive reinforcement can go a long way because people like it when they're making other people happy. And when you show that you're being made happy, they're going to continue with that behavior, hopefully. Now, let's take a minute here and let's kind of find out a little bit more about issuevoter.org. This came to our attention as one of the CNN heroes that were being highlighted as part of their program, and that's because they saw that this had so much potential to really help get people's voices heard. So what does it take to get started? Okay, first of all, of course, you just go to issuevoter.org and then you can choose to sign up. It was very simple, just with a password and an email address, you're in. Once you get in, then they're going to ask you about things that you're interested in. You're going to be able to customize your alerts so that you can choose topics that you're the most interested in. They have lots of different ones, everything from health to food to things going on with energy, jobs, voting, lots of different things. Once you've got all that information in, then they start to know what your address is, who your reps are. And now whenever you come to Issue Voter, all of your reps are going to be there right there on the home page so that you can just click right then and there and start talking to them. Now let's get in to some of the different issues that are happening right now. I'm hoping that after you hear some of these that are going on, that you're going to think, hey, I got to get signed up with Issue Voter right now because I have an opinion on these things and I want to get my voice heard. So let's start to go over some of the things that are being discussed on Issue Voter right now. Okay, how about this one? Should Congress regulate staffing agencies and businesses to protect temporary workers? Well, that's because, as we've discussed before, that a lot of these corporations are pushing to not have any liability at all. And they may want to use workers in conditions that are extremely harmful to them, not paying them enough, and have hazardous working conditions. So if you feel that you're in that kind of situation, you may want to check that one out. Should Congress pass the multi-trillion dollar, multi-billion dollar stimulus bill? That's what we want to know. Should we be able to pass these? Which bill is it that you like? When there's multiple bills out there, as with these stimulus bills, there's been several versions of them. There's different versions of healthcare bills. Get the specifics on some of these different bills. Which ones have things that are appealing to you? So that's why we need to get input for people. Then they show so that we're okay with spending all this money on helping us survive from day to day. Should Congress provide unemployment benefits for workers affected by coronavirus? How many people out there are suffering right now and their unemployment benefits are about ready to expire? You need to tell your representatives, yes, we want you to extend unemployment benefits because you know for a fact that you are going to be in huge trouble. You're going to be losing everything and possibly your family with no place to live if they do not allocate funds for that. So get on issuevoter.org and let your representatives know. Should states be required to establish contingency plans to conduct federal elections during national disasters and emergencies? We know this happens for a fact now. We know that there was all kinds of problems related to the COVID disaster. We've had hurricanes. We're going through climate change right now and climate events that are some of the most horrific that we've ever seen. We need to plan so that our elections are not interrupted. We see that it could be used in a negative way. So yes, we should be starting to think about these things. If you've been thinking about it too, go to issuevoter.org and let your representative know what it is you're thinking. Should members of Congress be allowed to use video conferencing and to establish a remote voting system to pass legislation? This, I think, is a very interesting idea. This is trying to take us into the 20th century with our government and how it's being run and how different things interact. And I think we've learned during this pandemic that we can do a lot of things online without having to go there. Should we be more open-minded about our voting system when it comes to passing legislation? Should formerly incarcerated people be able to vote in federal elections? This has been a really big issue. If someone has a felony, should they not be allowed to vote for the rest of their life? Or should they be forgiven and be allowed to vote again? There are some states that say yes and some states that say no. Should we make a federal decision on this issue? Should states require children to be vaccinated? This is another big issue. Should it be a law that every single child be vaccinated? I've known someone whose child had an adverse reaction to a vaccine and ended up in the hospital and was terrified for her child to ever be vaccinated again. We have certain special circumstances. Should it be dealt on a case-to-case basis and between the parent, the child, and their doctor? Or should we make it blanket, everyone has to get it? Should the government provide a national health care program? We've shown with studies that a national health care program would pay for itself. It would actually make billions of dollars in savings. It still is open. People have choices. They don't have to go with the government one. They can go with a different insurance company. There's all different kinds of models. It isn't a done deal. But we're trying to save money here, and we're trying to not let the drug companies and healthcare companies take advantage. We're trying to make it easier and streamlined because there's so much admin that's required. It makes it very hard for doctors' offices and hospitals and extremely expensive. We're just looking on what is the best way we can do this. All the other major countries have some sort of national health care plan. Not the United States. We're spending more money than anyone, and we have one of the lowest quality of cares in the world. Should we add protections for out-of-network health care bills? This is something I don't know a lot of, but I'm sure there are people out there that are interested in this. Go to issuevoter.org and let your voice be heard. Should Congress prevent banks from charging for pass-through digital dollar wallets? We know from experience banks steal from their customers. Wells Fargo set up fake accounts and charge their customers for them. So we need to really take a close look at this one. Should the U.S. establish an energy storage program? There are other countries that are already doing this, planning to store all kinds of hydrogen and other different methods. We should definitely take a close look at this. Should Congress provide an incentive to states and tribes to manage their own oil and gas wells? We have literally thousands of them just sitting there in the state of Pennsylvania. We could cap these wells. We could make new jobs. There is so much that could be done here. Please take a look at this one. Should Congress approve higher education reforms? For someone with a bunch of student loans and know what can happen with higher education and how we need to get smart if we're going to compete globally in this world and come up with new innovative ideas, higher education is something we need to look at, as well as like 1 and 2 year training for green energy jobs. Go to issuevoter.org and let's get our voices heard. Find podcasts for Smart Health Talk on iHeartRadio or YouTube.